And welcome back to our 14th preview episode of this podcast for the 2026 season. The Bandits playing a road game on the West Coast. It's going to be a little bit of a Bandits after dark type of situation. Bandits, who have won 3 games in a row, look to take on the slumping, and I mean slumping, San Diego Seals. West Coast, 10 o'clock p.m., March 21st, 2026. Not only is this a chance for the Bandits to extend their win streak to 4 games, which that would totally even out the 4-game losing streak, by the way. I thought I'd throw that in there. With a win, the Bandits would hold a crucial head-to-head tiebreaker over the San Diego Seals as we are approaching the March to May, because who knows what the last week could bring. I mean, the Bandits still have the back end of that gauntlet schedule left, and San Diego, if they don't start picking it up now, they should be looking up at the lights fairly quickly as far as their postseason or at least for their postseason chances are concerned. They've been slumping, they've been losing some games, but if the Bandits, as the 7th seed right now, can currently get the head-to-head against the current 8 seed, that sets you up perfectly, puts you in the driver's seat, and gives you some insurance. Who would have thought after the Bandits starting off the season 4 and 6, we're talking about insurance and insuring your postseason spot. So this game isn't just important to extend this win streak, but we got a potential head-to-head tiebreaker scenario here where at the end of week 18 or after game 18, it could come down to the 8th seed being either San Diego or Buffalo. So this is a very, very, very important game. Make sure that you get your naps in on Saturday because you're going to be staying up at 10 o'clock, or at least I hope you are. 10 o'clock p.m., staying up till close to 1 o'clock a.m. Sunday, watching a West Coast showdown between the Bandits and the Seals.
Yeah, it might be a preview night to go to Mitchell's Tavern at our main sponsors and go watch the game. And it could be a party, a viewing party there. So, but yeah, as you were stating, the Seals, only time meeting that the Bandits are going to be seeing them this season, but a crucial game, which can contain a possibility of a lot of options. Well, number one, if we go on a 4-game, that'll be our 4th win in a row going on right now. That would possibly push us up to like maybe 5th or 6th.
That everything goes right though, Tony. If we get all the help we can, pushes us up to 4.
Yeah, that would even be great too. But we gotta win this game to do that.
Yep.
But also, the Seals can do is win the tiebreaker over us if they so happen to win, and they'd be flip-flopping 7th and 8th. But until then, until we see what Johnny T has got in store for the boys in orange and black, all we could do is hope that the new arrivals and the newcomers that came up aboard can do their job and do what they've been doing for the last 3 games, and that's win.
Absolutely. Just got to go out there and you got to dominate. I do want to mention some history between these two teams. The Bandits and the Seals, it's not a rivalry, but we have seen a postseason game against these guys. There have been some history with the Bandits and the Seals. A lot of back and forth, a lot of close games. The last game the Bandits faced against the Seals was the infamous 5-4 quarterfinal matchup at the KeyBank Center. So that was the last time these two teams went head-to-head in the postseason, the do-or-die essential Game 7 quarterfinal matchup. The game before that, the Bandits did win on the road in San Diego. And you could correct me if I'm wrong with this, but I think since their inception in 2018, the Bandits have never lost a game in San Diego. So we got some pretty good numbers in there. The Seals beat the Bandits 1 time, and that was in overtime 2 games or 3 games ago. The Seals, oddly enough, gave the Bandits their first loss of the 2025 season. They started off the season 7-0. San Diego gave them their first loss. It was the infamous Westberg overtime goal on Marvel Night when Connor Farrell scored his lone goal with the Bandits. So got the history between these two teams. A lot of back and forth games, a lot of interesting players to watch. I think we can jump right into that for the San Diego Seals. I think for obvious reasons, look at the jersey behind me. Look at the nameplate on the back of that jersey. The Buffalo Bandits are going to be facing against a Stainhouse for the first time since the 2003 season when Mark Stainhouse was playing for the Columbus Landsharks. His son, that's right, Ari Stainhouse, is a rookie, pretty flashy rookie. I don't think he plays to the level of his dad just yet. That might take a few years down the road, but this is a guy that the Bandits don't have a lot of film on. This is a guy that the Bandits have never seen before. I think to jump right out of the gate here, Tony, we have to look at the nameplate. There's a lot of history with that nameplate. especially in Buffalo, the big poofy afro, orange shoes, the foot long strings that hung from the end of his stick, like the Who's House chant, the song Brick House by the Commodores that would play after every time that guy scores. Looking at that guy's nameplate alone, if he has any, if he has a similar sidearm as his dad, we might be in for a long night over there in San Diego.
Yeah, I mean, you got to realize that with a name like Stainhouse, I mean, that just shows how important this game is. Going up against your dad's team when he played for the certain amount of years with the Bandits, but also it makes your journey that more exciting to watch, especially for how Ari was accepted into the San Diego team, what he brings to the table for them, and again, what he can do for them on the scoreboard. But again, I think he's a defenseman. Correct me if I'm wrong. Is he a defenseman?
I'm looking right now. He's number 93, so he doesn't wear the familiar number 9. He is a transition, so he sometimes plays
he's a transition
backdoor. Yep.
So he could still score goals if he wanted to, and he can earn his spot in the forward position if he depends on how good he is on the rush and what he could do scoring wise. But again, like you stated with the shot that his dad has, and he copies that, you're right. I got a sad and strange feeling that could kill us in the end if we do not watch him.
And Ari Stainhouse has taken a very similar path to his dad. If you remember, Mark Stainhouse used to play both transition and forward. So he used to play both positions. And if he has any sort of similarities as his dad does, and I bet you he does, because he's got some of that Billy D. Smith blood in him, and he's got some of that Stainhouse blood in him. So not only does he have the potential to score a lot of goals, but he has the potential to lay the physical game too if he's got some of those Billy D. Smith genes in him. So definitely a player to watch for sure. But if we want to be completely obvious here, we got to look at the Bandit killer, and he wears number 14. The last time the Seals beat the Bandits, he got the overtime winner. Wesley, or as they call him, Westberg.
Yeah. Talk about a guy that knows how to find the back of the net, and somebody you have to contain like you did against Colorado where you held Andrew Q to only 2. That's the guy you got to hold to only 2 at least, because Wesley Berg is fun, or Westberg, if you want to call him for short, who knows how to find the back of the net, who's got that great talent and his amazing shot quality about picking corners and finding the weakness of other goalies. He's done it against Matt Vince. He's done it against other goaltenders in the league. That's somebody you really need to be a shadow of and not give him the chance to shoot. Otherwise, he's going to have a field day with nonstop goals, and he's going to look like he's going to have more than just a sock trick.
Yeah, the sock trick. I think he had 5 goals the last time they beat the Bandits. That was, again, Superhero Night, February of last year. Yep. Westberg had I think it was either a 5 or a 6 goal night. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm pretty sure that's what it was, including the overtime winner. And his accomplice shouldn't go undervalued either. And that's the guy that, if you remember that last time they lost to the Seals, a certain somebody tied it with like 5 seconds to go. Zach Courier is his accomplice. And he's another one of those guys that you got to look at too as well, because that sidearm off the stick of Zach Courier is almost impossible to stop. It reminds me a lot of, funny enough, ironic enough, Corey Smalls, who also plays for the same team. But that goal to tie it in that game, I remember watching it, went right over Vince's shoulder, but it would look like a laser beam. It would look like it got shot out of a cannon. And he didn't even see it. All he did was hear it hit the back of the twine. And it's a very similar. It's a lefty Chase Fraser shot, if I want to put it that way. But Zach Courier is a weapon is an understatement if you're talking about weapons on the San Diego Seals.
Yeah, one word to only describe Zach Courier's shot: lethal. That's basically it. It's so scary to even get in front of. You know it's coming, but before you even can blink, it's already past you. That's how scary his shot is. It's unbelievable. It's like the L.I. Afraidy of hockey. That 100-mile-plus shot that you just don't expect, and it hits, and then all of a sudden you're like, did I just feel a breeze go by me? Yeah, that was his shot. He passed you. So they really need to really contain Zach Courier to at least 2 goals as well. But again, they got an all-star lineup on their roster, but surprisingly only 6 and 7 this year. That just, it just really takes me like, why can't they be up with where Colorado and Sass are? But they're not, and they've got a bad, unfortunate record. So we'll see how Zach Courier and the guys can do with San Diego, but they got to go through us first, and we're going to go visit them in their house.
And they're in prime position to at least make the playoffs. That's why I'm surprised in their general manager, Patrick Merrill. He wasn't aggressive whatsoever at the trade deadline. He doesn't have any of that Steve Dietrich in him where he's like, we got a chance to win. We're in a prime position to win. Let's go make a big move and let's go make a big push. It looked like Patrick Merrill kind of twiddled his thumb, sat on his hands, and really didn't do much. And there's a reason why the Seals are 6 wins and 7 losses? Like,
yes.
I mean, they are human. Yeah, they got their stars. Every team does. But there's a reason why they lost 7 games. And does this kind of scare you a little bit, Tony, going into this one? Because we all know how the Bandits face against, the top of the talk of the town teams.
Mm-hmm.
Toronto at the time, Saskatchewan and Colorado, out of order, of course, but they beat all 3 of those teams.
Yes.
All top 5 in the NLL.
Mm-hmm.
Look at the teams that they've lost to this year. Halifax, Ottawa, Philadelphia.
Rochester.
Rochester. Oh, my God, they suck too. But look at the only legit team, threatening team that they lost to was Vancouver, and you can make the argument that they probably should have won that game. So
absolutely,
it's these teams that are below them in the standings, slightly below them, or hanging around the bottom of the barrel here.
Yeah,
that really give the Bandits headaches. So you can't take any team lightly going in. And the last thing I want is the Bandits to be, in that mindset where they're over their heads. I think Johnny T is a very level-headed guy, and he won't let that happen again. Something's got to give. I mean, one of these days, the Bandits got to beat one of these basement level teams. I mean, they did that against Halifax. Bit of a scary ending. It took a shorthanded game-winning goal from Dane Smith to do that. But what I'm looking for here is a convincing win. We got to get an established win. This team in March is a lot different from the team in January. Just going to put that out. They're in 2 different stratospheres, Tony. But what I'm trying to say here is we know that San Diego has a lot of weapons. You can't play down to those competitions, though, because they are 6-7. You are 7-6. So you're not that far off. It's just, we got the 6-7 going on. You're not that far off. So just don't stoop down to their level, because that is what we've seen from this Bandits team before.
Yeah. What they need to do is stick with the plan with what they've been doing for these last 3 games, is that they go in there, they play their style, and they win the game. They go in there, they play as a team, they win the game. They don't go in there like egotistical and say, okay, Dane, okay, Josh, you guys have the helm. We'll just sit back and watch you do all the work. No, that's not the style that we are. The style that we are is that we use every single player on the roster that helps us, win those games. The crucial ones, the secondary scoring, mostly all year has been stepping up and doing their thing, because that's what we do best, is that we have a full depth of a roster that says anyone can score a goal on this team, which is a good positive note, because after stating that is that the Bandits have a more successful rate winning games that everyone has contributed to the team every single night. Now, if it's all one-sided, say like your stars were stars and nobody else got points, then I can have a little concern because of the fact that that's not the Bandits' way of playing. What we do is what we stick to doing best, is protecting Vince at all times as much as we can, scoring the goals when needed, but the word consistency is huge, and that's what they got to do to defeat the San Diego Seals coming up this Saturday, is being consistent. That's the way the Bandits should play.
And I love that you mentioned the secondary scoring has been on point all year, because they had to have been. Dane and Josh, outside of last week, maybe the Toronto game too, they were starting to heat up in the Toronto road game.
Yep.
This week and the last game before that, Dane and Josh were virtually absent. I mean, you look at the numbers that they put up on a regular basis. That wasn't Dane and that wasn't Josh. So the secondary guys had to show up, and they have been. So I am not worried about that whatsoever.
Right.
And a whole new team, figuratively, record-wise, and quite literally, too. I mean, Joe Resetarits is a Bandit.
Oh, thank God.
It's not a dream, ladies and gentlemen. Pinch yourself.
He's real. He's back.
Joe Resetarits is on the Bandit. And Coltrane Tyson, hopefully he gets he keeps his full-time roster spot. So it's a bit of a different team, literally, as well. And just the one thing is, don't fall back into old habits. The other thing I wanted to talk about, Tony, was the Fogo matchup. Connor Ferdo might be in a little bit of a tizzy this Saturday.
Yeah, it's going to be challenging. It's going to
Trevor
be definitely
Baptiste,
challenging.
top dog.
You got
One of the
him?
top, I would say that he's a top 2 face-off, get-off player in the NLL for sure.
They actually have 2 Fogos. If you mentioned from last year, they didn't have Batiste. They actually had Nick, if I'm pronouncing his last name wrong, and forgive me if I do, Chichico.
Yep.
He was their actual Fogo guy last year, and he was actually defeating Connor Farrell pretty good last season. So, again, if, say, Baptiste gets hurt or, Nick can step in, or if Nick gets hurt, Trevor Baptiste is there. So, again, Connor Farrell's not going to have a very easy night. It's going to be a challenging night for him. So if he posts, like we've been saying all along, if he posts 40 to 50% of his faceoffs, that should be pretty solidified for him in his game. And that's good enough for us. But go in there, be confident, win those faceoffs, and set the tone for your team. So I think Connor Farrell's going to have a much big challenge coming up this Saturday.
Yes, he will. And spoiler alert for our keys to a victory, but you got to cash in on all of your opportunities on offense. Like, don't throw away the ball, but cash in on most of your opportunities. But we'll get more in depth on that. The goalie, projected goalie, Christopher Riglieri. We've seen him multiple times.
Yes, we have.
I feel like we need to highlight his name because held the Bandits to 5 goals last time these teams went head to head in the playoffs. So
very impressive.
Despite the fact that he's only beaten the Bandits once in his career with the Seals. The last game he held the Bandits to 5. And very, very impressive performance for him. But the other guy that I really want to get into right off the rip for the Bandits is their projected goalie this week, Matt Vince, a guy who's had a lot of success against the Seals. Last time they went head-to-head with San Diego, held the Seals to 4 goals. So it's going to be interesting to see what type of Matt Vince that we get. Matt Vince has been heating up the last couple games, and he looked great in the Saskatchewan game too. So the last 3, Matt Vince has looked fantastic, maybe outside of a couple squeakers here and there. But you got 4 wins in a row on the line here. You're going into a building that you dominate in for the most part. You don't ever really lose in this building. So we'll have to see what type of Matt Vince that we get going into this Saturday's game.
We need, like I've stated before against Colorado, we still need that lockdown Vince. Like he's been playing the last 3 games, his average is like right around 10 allowed. That should be enough where your offense needs to get 11, 12, or 13, maybe 14 goals to secure it. And that's what the defense has been really buckling down, and how good they are now starting to look like them old selves again by containing their opposition's best to a limit of just 10. And that is huge for Matt Vince's record books and for the way he plays his game. And he's still not, and a lot of people are saying, well, he's in the first, 11 games going 5-6.
That was bad.
It was bad. And we thought, okay, this is going to have to be Vince's last year because he does not look like himself. He's starting to feel old. And he's lost his game. But then these last few wake-up games, 3 straight in a row, that got his confidence level back because he's still got the same game in him. It's just now building that defense around Vince. And we still have the same guys, but a few little extra tweakers. I mean, with Carter Coffey now getting a game here and there. You got Spanger getting back from his injury. Those guys, along with Wires, Belter, Priolo, Dawson, all I can say is, and Mitch DeSnew, I'm not going to forget about you, bud, because that itself solidifies how good your defense is becoming. And the way that I'm going to say this too, for Matt Vince's sake, Mitch DeSnew is your go-to loose balls in the defensive side, is to watch for him, set up the plays for the transition to keep the Bandits on the offensive side on their toes so that we can try to find a way to get the weakness in Christian Riglieri's way of trying to score. And yes, they're going to have to really surpass Chris O with a T because how good he played against us last game. And that was in the playoffs where it counted the most to keeping us only at 5. That itself is a reward yourself. And Chris, and if you're hearing this too, if you're watching us too, I've got no disrespect for your game whatsoever because you are one of the goaltenders for the future of this sport. And I'm telling you, as of right now, you've earned our respect about how good you become as a goaltender. And for that, the way our defense is going to have to contain them is do the same thing they did last game against them. Contain the best, shut them down, get to the loose balls, get your offense the opportunities they need.
Last game was that was an anomaly.
A nail biter.
I don't think you would ever see a 5-4 in the playoffs ever again. Maybe as long as I'm alive. I don't know.
It's like a high school game.
You had Vince and Origlieri, 9 combined goals between the two. Like,
wow.
I still go back and think about that game. If you told me going in the Bandits would only score 5, I'm like, oh, the season's over. No, Mad Vince held them to 4. Like, it was a goaltending back and forth game. The Bandits got shut out in that second half. They didn't score a single goal in the third and fourth quarter. Like, but Westberg was also shut down. Courier was shut down. All those weapons. Corey Small was shut down. Like, we know the Bandits can do it. We know the Bandits defense and goaltending can do it. Just go out there and do it again. Maybe not at the same 5-4 pace, because I don't think you'll ever see that again. But we've seen this happen before. Lightning can strike twice in the same spot. Another player that I want to look at, and we did get some inside scoop from the source himself at Cobblestone after the Bandits game, Ian McKay should be healthy and should be ready to go.
Let's go.
San Diego. That probably means that somebody's going to be another forward will be scratched, I would assume. So we'll have to see what happens there. But Mickey was heating up. He finally started to look like 2025 Mickey in that rush game. But at what cost? He rolls his ankle. It swells up like a big balloon. And he misses the Toronto game. Legs it out, though. He finishes the overtime game against Saskatchewan somehow on a bad ankle. Doesn't play against Toronto and comes back from the bye. Doesn't play against the Colorado Mammoth. Should be ready to go this week. We saw him behind the bar pouring drinks. He's out of the boot now. And he said, I was talking to John Gertler, too, at the bar. And he said, and Dave Buchanan and Scott Waffler, they were all telling me they went to the morning shoot around. Ian McKay was doing sprints during morning practice. So he is putting weight on that foot. He should be, if all things go well, you would think that he probably plays this week in San Diego. So I'll be curious to see, is he going to keep up with his pace of goal scoring like he did in that Saskatchewan game? Because I think he finally found his scoring touch. Sucked to see him go down as soon as he finally hit that stride.
Well, if in case, God forbid, the doctors and the team itself say that McKay can't go because he's not quite ready yet, they will keep him off, and then they'll have either Coltrane Tyson fill in or possibly another forward, depending on who it could be. But no matter what, it's great news to hear about Ian McKay, especially having his comeback game, technically speaking, against Saskatchewan. But like you stated, hopefully we could see him go back to normal right away after a few weeks off, especially to let his foot heal. And that's kind of an injury that you do need to take some time off, especially no pressure, and how much pain and suffering in the foot to the leg to the knee could also altercate that injury as well. But you really need to take that time and effort to make sure the swelling goes down and make sure of the fact that, hey, can I put pressure on it? And if so, he says it's good to go. That'll be great to see number 4 back in the lineup again.
Oh, I would totally agree, because there's a reason why this guy won 2025 Finals MVP. He was the most consistent forward, him and Kyle Buchanan, all of last season. I don't care what anybody says. Everybody had a great year, but, I mean, on the offensive side, I think the most consistent, and that's the word that we always have to use on the show, consistency, consistence, Ian McKay and Kyle Buchanan, for sure. I mean, they were always scoring every single week, never had a real down week between those two. Another guy that I think is going to break out and score his first few goals as a Bandit, once again, Joe Rezateras, number 15. Look out for him. Yes. Look out for Rezateras. He got his feet wet in the first game against Colorado, made some nasty picks, got very, very physical. That was the most physical I've ever seen Joe Rezateras on the field at age 36. He got robbed a couple times, hit a couple posts. I think this is going to be the game where, because, last game he was getting his feet wet again. He was adjusting to a new team, got traded during the work week and had to play that Friday night. So didn't have a lot of time to prepare against the Colorado Mammoth. He's got the whole week this week, plus a long flight to San Diego. I think he is going to look out for Joe Rezateras to put in 2 or 3 goals.
I got a great feeling that that's going to actually happen, because now that Joe Rez is a part of that offensive threat, if you may say, we've still waited to see if, Joe Rezateras can still score those goals. And he is going to be biting at the lip, frothing from the mouth that he wants to contribute. He wants to get those goals for the Buffalo Bandits. And, you give him those opportunities to get that open shot like he always does, he's going to contribute. Especially, I got a feeling he's going to really contribute during the special teams power play. If they really get him out there at the times where either Nanakoke or somebody gets him on the penalty box, and then they get their 5-on-4 opportunities, or maybe even 4-on-3, who knows? But Joe Rez is one of those go-to guys. I've got a feeling he's going to have the hot stick of the night. I like to see him get a hat trick this game.
I love that. And if he does play, Coltrane, I got to see what he's going to bring to the table too, because pretty solid game. Got his first NLL point last week against Colorado on an assist. He hit a crossbar as well. Probably should have scored. So if he is activated and he is ready to go, why not the big 6'8" building in Coltrane Tyson? See what he can do. I know Chris Origlieri is a pretty tall individual, and I think Coltrane kind of rivals his height. So I'd love to see that height on height matchup. That'd be giant versus giant going over there in the Pechanga Arena in San Diego. I think with that, though, time to get into our keys to a Bandits victory, though, Tony. I mean, I think I kind of teased this before at the start of the show. Yeah, you're likely going to get dominated in the face-off circle. Whether you like it or not, you got some dogs over on San Diego. So what does that mean for your offense? Your offense has to be efficient. We need to see efficient offense. With efficient offense comes loose balls. Get your rebounds. But most importantly, take smart shots and put the ball in the back of the net, because you're going to have limited possessions in this game.
The key word to that, especially for our offense, is consistency. That's the word that we're going to have to use a lot for this offense, is that we got to go and do what we've done against Toronto, where we're like 3 goals per quarter, then 5 in the end. Great against Colorado to give them back that fast start that they gave us. That can also be a good key to the game, or key matchup too, against San Diego. But we don't want to play all hands on deck, waste our energy in one half, and then have nothing in the tank for the second half. So consistency is going to win you this game like you did against Toronto. That's the kind of style I think the Bandits should do, is that if you go and play every quarter and play gun-ho offensive smartly, not saying use all the gas in the tank, you're going to win this game, because you're going to win the boxing match, technically speaking. You want to tire your opponent out where they have nothing left, and you've got one more little a bit of gas left to go for the knockout punch. So that's what you want to do against the San Diego Seals coming up this Saturday, is being consistent. Win every quarter, but be consistent at it.
Consistent, efficient. I also want to throw in be physical. Just out-muscle them. If you can get the goalie rattled, if you can lay some big body checks in the middle of the field against some of their transition guys, knock the ball out loose and scoop up those loose balls and cause turnovers, I mean, they got a lot of finesse on that team. When you think of the San Diego Seals, you don't think big, tough, mean, hard-hitting. You think of finesse and twirls and dangles and shots that hit the top shelf. This is a team that doesn't score the down and dirty goals. They score the pretty goals. So how do you fight against finesse? You got to beat them physically. So big night for guys like Steve Priolo, Thomas Whitty, Paul Dawson, Cam Wire, Zach Belter, Coltrane Tyson if he is playing, because we know how physical all those guys can be. So you got to dominate them physically. If you outwork them and you outmuscle them, strength will prevail over finesse 10 times out of 10.
And also for another player to mention, and I know we missed his name during who to see on the Buffalo side, if Tohoka Nanakoke goes again and scores a goal in this game, it's just the real strong point of a start off for him to go in there and fight those high slot battles. If he could do that and set up the guys like Dane Smith, Josh Byrne, Joel Rezateritz, Clay Scanlon, Kyle Buchanan, you name it. If he can get in under the skin against the defense of the Seals, that's going to solidify the big W2 as well, because not only will he be a troublemaker in the high slot, but that opens up the doors for everyone else to score points, and that's huge to get a big target on your back to say, hey, all eyes on me while they take a shot, because I'm going to irritate the crap out of you. So I like how Nanakoke's been doing this year, and if he continues his goal trend, that's going to be probably the first in a long time that I've seen a player in a Bandits uniform score in every single game.
And maybe, just maybe, now that the Bandits have more moving picks and more physical guys on their offense, with Coltrane and Joey, maybe Tehoka doesn't need to take a beating literally every single night. Maybe you can see a new role from Nanakoke where he's just a pure goal scorer And if you get him in that role, it's going to be hard to stop that guy. You're going to see shades of 2022, shades of 2023 Day-Hoke and Nanacoke, and that's going to be tough for all the teams to stop that. And he scored in every single game this year. If he scores this week in San Diego, I don't know the record off the top of my mind, but for most goals consecutively in Bandits history, but I guarantee you it's probably something that Johnny T or one of the Kilgores probably owns. I would assume, but he'd be I don't know, some of those early '90s Bandits teams when they were going undefeated streaks and do all that stuff. I think that's probably a hard streak to catch, but he's probably going to be climbing up there in some sort of capacity as far as the record books for scoring in consecutive games with a goal. So we'll have to see with that. But I think the last key that I have is just make the routine saves, because we saw the last few games, Matt Vince, for the most part, locking it down. But if you really want to make a statement and you really need to set the tone in this game, if you made 90% of the save, you could also make 100% of the save. I think the Colorado game should have probably ended 13-8, if I'm being honest with you, over 13-10. And that would have looked, I know it's only a 2-goal difference, but that probably would have been more, dominance asserted in that game, looking at the box score. Like, wow, the Bandits took a top 3 team and they won by 5 goals in their own barn. This is the team they lost to by 11 goals just, less than 2 months prior.
Yep.
It was a lot closer than it should have been, and the same thing goes for the Saskatchewan game too. If the 9th and the 10th goals were saved, you would have been looking at a 10-7, 10-6 win against the Rush. You're like, that's the best team in the league. The Bandits held them to under 8 goals. So, I mean, I think Vince, and I'm not dogging on him at all. I think he has really turned his game around the last 3 games, but something about we're at least due for 1 or 2 every single night where he makes 95% of the save and it just rolls in behind him. And you're like, oh man, like the 4th Colorado goal where it bounced off his shoulder and kind of rolled down his back. The Robert Church goal to tie the game at 10 against the Saskatchewan Rush, where he made the pad save and it rolled through his 5-hole. Like, I think if you can make 90% of the saves, you can also make 100% of the saves. Matt Vince is a much better goalie than Origlieri. And I'm not saying do this 5-4 type of goaltending, but if we can hold the Seals to under 8 or actually just screw it, 10 or less, should be able to win that game with the firepower that you have on your offense. So just be dominant, have confidence in between the pipes.
Yep. I think Matt Vince is going to have one of his best games of his career, and that he knows that there's a lot on the line for this game too as well, especially with, the defensive core that we have and how well we've just gelled now. We're starting to get our rhythm back. And the way how Matt Vince has been playing, it seems like he's found his youth again after getting these last 3 wins and keeping teams under, 10 or under per game. So that tells you itself that's a goaltender you want to have on the roster. So Matt Vince, I got a feeling he's going to have a real strong game this week coming up.
Not to mention, at the young age of 43 years old, he is sipping out of the fountain of youth once again, which is always great to see. Now it's time to get into our, world famous, and I mean world famous, Banditland Boulevard score predictions going into San Diego. Pechanga Arena, 10 o'clock p.m. Saturday. The Bandits going in on a 3-game heater. The San Diego Seals going in on a 2-game stinker. We'll have to see what happens here, but I already got my score prediction locked in to my head. I think the offense looks solid. I think the defense and goaltending is going to be the difference maker in this game. I got the Bandits winning 12-9 in San Diego.
Ooh-wee. All right. Keeping San Diego under 10. Well, I'm going to just say this. I mean, the way how we were last time in the Seals arena, I mean, it was close because it came down to.
I think the score was 13-12. Bandits won.
I roughly think that was the final score to that one game, but I'm gonna say 2 teams are still going to be in double digits, but I think we still maintain keeping the team at 10 goals against. So that being said, Bandits win 14-10 on my book.
We'll take that. Yeah, 3-goal win, 4-goal win, anything that looks convincing. But I do think Joey Rez has a pretty decent night. I think Dane and Josh are back to their routine selves, and interested to see what happens with Ian McKay going into this week, because he is probably going to be the one that I circle the most. If he plays, we might see 12 or more goals. If he doesn't, I think the Bandits can still get 12 goals. But
I
the
agree.
fact that he's out there, defenses will have to respect him. And God forbid you get Ian McKay, Joe Resetarits, Burn Smith, and Buchanan out there on the same line together. It's pretty dangerous to stop all of those guys. I mean, you got 3 MVPs from the 23, 24, 25 finals on the same line. Then throw in Resetarits and Buchanan. It's over for that team. So just figured I would throw that out there. But you got 14-10. I got 12-9. We both have the Bandits winning 4 in a row. And if they win this one and all things go well, the Bandits get some help on their side. So to paint the picture for the fans, the farthest they can go at the end of this week is 4th.
That's good.
That they can go this week with Rochester losing and Halifax losing and San Diego losing all last week and the Bandits winning. The worst the Bandits can finish with after this week is 8th place right now. So
that's right.
Win or lose, they're still in the postseason spot. But I will say it's a very important game still because of that head-to-head tiebreaker. If it comes down to 8th versus 9th, Bandits versus Seals, who gets that last spot after game 18? So this game right here in game 14 is pretty important to look back on because you're looking at potential tiebreaker situation and a potential situation where you're looking at which team's going to make it in and which team's not going to make it in.
Yeah, you go in there, you play what you did the last 3 games, and you just don't give up at all. You play all 60 minutes. You be consistent. Get your offensive guys going and get them striding. Keep your defense doing what they're doing and protecting Vince and keeping the other teams at bay. You guys should walk away victorious this Saturday coming up.
You should. Just don't play down and just don't suck. That's all I got to say.
That's right. Just don't suck.
Just don't suck, as a wise person once said on the Buffalo Bandits. TN1 said that a few years ago.
That's right.
But I think with that said, we both have wins. Hopefully the Bandits win their 4th in a row and they can cancel out that 4-game losing streak and get back to their usual self. But I think, Tony, right now, time to shout out the sponsors for our fantastic program that we have here.
You got it. Banditland Boulevard is brought to you in part by Mitchell's Tavern, located at 734 Sheridan Drive up in Tonawanda, New York. Guys, Banditland Boulevard, myself, Tony LaMonica, over there, Trevor Hauer, is telling you, go check them out. Possibly this Saturday for the Bandits Watch Party at 10 o'clock at night. They have wing specials. They have drink specials. They have amazing service, and they have amazing food. They will treat you like family. Go check them out. Also, if you guys would like to plan on your next trip or vacation, contact Suzanne Pike at herniesjourneys.com. Let her book your next big adventure. And finally, we'd like to thank Nino's Pizzeria, located at 2 locations here in Western New York at 1737 Orchard Park Road in West Seneca and in 315 Buffalo Street in Hamburg. Order up your pizza, wings, subs, fingers, fries, you name it, as you like it, only in America. And for those watching us here live on YouTube through StreamYard, give us that like, subscribe, hit that notification bell every time we talk about Buffalo Bandits lacrosse. And if you're just listening in on every device known to man, through your tablet, your phone, or your radio station through Spotify, give us that 5-star rating about all your needs of the boys in orange and black, your Buffalo Bandits.
Bandits, Seals, West Coast, prime time, Bandits after dark. I have a good feeling about this one, Tony. I just hope they don't let us down. If we win this game, it's big. It's big for our postseason contention. And hopefully we can get a little bit of help along the way, too. If we can get 4th by the end of this week,
that'd be huge.
Unbelievable. Going into the next week against
what a comeback year, boys.
Talk about some insurance going into that Saskatchewan game the week after. That would be huge. But I think with that said, Tony, we end this show. 3 simple words that everybody can understand. What are those 3 words?
As Chris Swenson always says in Banditland, you guys all know it. In 3, 2, 1. Let's go, Bandits!
Let's go, Bandits!
Let's go, boys! Let's go!
Lock in. Go club the Seals. Club the Seals. That's another 3 words. Club the Seals.
Club the Seals. I like it.